Welcome to the XFO Intelligence Podcast. Today, we're delving into, one of the most significant competitive shifts in modern history, the strategic architecture behind China's ascent to global leadership. The content you're about to hear, by the way, was generated using our Deep Augmented Thinking method, which is designed to provide really deep, unbiased analysis. So, for decades, the world has watched China's economic growth with this mix of, awe and apprehension. But what's truly going on under the surface? It's far more than just population size or manufacturing might. It's a really sophisticated system, one that has uniquely mastered the balance between centralized long-term strategic direction and the dynamic energy of market-driven execution. Let's start with the foundation. Back in the late 1970s, China's leadership faced a monumental challenge. How do you turn your most abundant resource, your people, into productive economic power? Their strategy was, it was a masterclass in resource optimization. First, they converted labor into capital. This whole export-oriented manufacturing thing became a powerful engine, building up foreign exchange reserves that peaked at an incredible, $3.4 trillion. Second, they converted land into infrastructure. Strategic allocation of land that enabled the creation of world-class transportation and energy networks that, get this, slashed the cost of doing business by an estimated 30 to 40%. And third, they effectively converted political capital into economic growth, trading rigid ideology for, let's call it, performance-based legitimacy, where economic outcomes were the main measure of success. What's truly remarkable about this approach is the strategic patience. While so many global organizations and governments are operating on these short quarterly or annual cycles, China has consistently maintained 30-year strategic horizons. Emphatically, this long-term view is what enabled the kind of massive, transformative investments, in infrastructure and industry that take decades to pay off. This patient approach gave rise to a unique hybrid model, something we term coordinated capitalism. Now, this isn't a simple choice between free markets and state control. No, instead, China's leadership designed a system that harnesses the efficiency of the market, but it carefully directs that energy within these clearly defined strategic boundaries set by central authorities. And the results are just staggering. Between 1980 and 2020, China's real per capita income grew 24-fold. 24-fold. For comparison, other major emerging economies, they grew less than 5-fold in the same period. So how is this complex system actually structured? Think of it as a multi-layered governance framework. At the micro level, you have local party committees working really closely with individual enterprises, aligning their goals with regional development. Then, at the meso level, you've got provinces and industrial sectors that both compete and collaborate, which drives innovation while, maintaining overall coherence. And then at the macro level, central authorities set the grand strategy for the whole nation. This architecture creates these powerful, reinforcing cycles. Economic growth leads to citizen satisfaction, which allows for policy continuity, which in turn fuels even more growth. It's also incredibly resilient. When faced with external shocks like the 2008 financial crisis, the system can adapt with stunning speed. It rebalances towards self-reliance while holding firm to its core long-term objectives. Now, why did China's growth so dramatically outpace its peers? It was a perfect competitive storm of timing, scale, stability, and execution. China began its reforms in 1978, positioning itself perfectly to capture investment in technology during a peak phase of globalization. Its massive domestic market provided economies of scale that were just impossible for smaller nations. And its stable one-party governance, that enabled consistent long-term policy implementation, the kind that attracts investment that shies away from political volatility. Conclusively, you combine that with a world-class, almost ruthless capability for execution, and you get this powerful investment-led growth engine that was unstoppable for decades. Sobering, but the story isn't over, and the system now faces some very real and significant challenges. First, a demographic cliff. China's working-age population is set to decline by 10% over the next 15 years, and that threatens the high investment model of the past. Second is trust. The system's stability fundamentally depends on public confidence in continued economic progress. And third is innovation transition, moving from just adopting and scaling existing tech to creating brand new frontier innovations. That's a vastly different and more difficult game. As we look ahead, say towards 49, the centennial of the People's Republic, we see three potential scenarios. The most likely, we think, with about 45% probability, is sustained leadership. In this future, China successfully navigates these transitions, its growth stabilizes at a high quality, and its global influence continues to expand. A second scenario, which we call managed adaptation, sees growth moderate as the system prioritizes stability over speed. And a third, system recalibration, involves a significant slowdown as those demographic and innovation challenges intensify, forcing a fundamental restructuring of its economic model. So, what does this all mean for you, for global business leaders and strategists? The key insight is that China's rise represents a structural shift in global power, not just a passing trend. It requires developing new strategies for supply chain resilience, balancing your exposure to China's incredible infrastructure with regional diversification. It demands an accelerated technology strategy to compete with and partner with rapidly advancing Chinese firms in critical areas like AI, 5G, and quantum computing. And yeah, it means developing sophisticated strategies for market access and talent development within China's unique ecosystem. Ultimately, the most successful organizations, they will be the ones that develop a deep, nuanced understanding of China's strategic architecture, its strengths, its vulnerabilities, and its incredible adaptive capabilities. The future belongs not to those who simply react to China, but to those who can operate effectively within this new global reality, leveraging China's scale while fiercely maintaining their own strategic autonomy. Thoughtfully, the Dragon's Ascent, it offers profound lessons in long-term planning, organizational resilience, and the art of balancing central direction with decentralized execution. These are capabilities that will define competitive advantage for everyone in the decades to come. That concludes our analysis for today. We hope these insights generated with the Deep Augmented Thinking method have been valuable. Now, here's a question we'd like you to think about. As China's system continues to evolve, which of its core strategic principles, long-term planning, coordinated execution, or adaptive resilience, which one do you believe will be most critical for its success over the next decade? Engaging. Share your feedback and your answer with us in the comment box below. And hey, if you found this content useful, please like, share, and subscribe to the XFO Intelligence Podcast channel for more strategic insights. Thank you for listening.